Welcome, everyone. So sorry for the sort of wonky, weird start today. I guess that Zoom decided that it just wanted to give Katie and I an extra little exercise in curiosity because we had to get really curious about how to fix some settings and things when we got ready to hop on here, and it was not doing what it was supposed to do. So that's okay. Katie, the fabulous Katie, all the way in Scotland, helping out in the chat, and I got it all figured out. So welcome to our July monthly setup, finally. My name is Bailey, and I'll be your facilitator today. If you are new to this, welcome. We are so excited to have you. Hopefully, the next social that you come to will not be a weird locked webinar start. It will work like normal. If you are a returning fan of our socials that always come in and hang out with us, we're so happy to see you. We always love seeing people return and seeing those familiar names in the chat. This is a great place to get ideas, not just from what we will share up on the screen, but also from your fellow members of the Sonder community here who have also been using these journals and have all kinds of tips and tricks. So in order to share those tips and tricks or tell us what you're doing in your journal, you're going to want to make sure that when you are typing in the chat, you have that little blue box set to everyone. If it's set to host and panelist, it will only come to Katie and myself to be able to see. So in order to share with the group, just make sure that you have that little blue box, sorry, set to everyone. So that way everyone will be able to see what you have to share or what you maybe have questions about. And don't be afraid to ask questions. We have an absolutely wonderful community here. Our Sonder socials are just like the best little corner of the virtual world, I think. And so I promise that you will definitely get some kindness and tips and tricks if you ask any questions that you need. And part of that has to do with our community guidelines. We go over these in every event that we do. So number one, be kind and courteous to yourself and others. Number two, no promotions or spam, please. Number three, please respect everyone's privacy. What happens in a Sonder social stays in a Sonder social. No hate speech or bullying, of course. We like to get really real and authentic and vulnerable here in our space and time together, and we can't do that without being kind to one another. Please limit repetitive product and accessory questions. Like if you have like a little question about the journal or stickers or pens or anything like that, we don't mind obviously a little bit of chatter about that, but our time to here together is limited. So we do try to stay on topic as much as we can. So Sonder Club, the app, is a great place to post some of those questions and things and get longer recommendations for things like that. And then Katie and myself, yes, absolutely, Nathania, yay for teamwork. We do make a great team, but we are not a part of the team over at headquarters, which means that we do not have access to like your subscriptions or shipping information or pricing things or anything like that. So if you need help with something of that nature that Katie and I cannot assist with, we will send you over to hello@silkandsonder.com so that they can help you with that. And finally, Sonder Socials are a tool to help elevate your emotional health through the power of community, but you are responsible for your own emotions, well-being, and decisions. So you'll notice, of course, those of you that come to social all the time already know this, but if you are new, you'll notice that I'm the only one that'll be on camera. I'm the only one that will be coming off mute. So you can come and get cozy and you can take whatever you need from this time. So if you want to hang out and just listen to the music and work in your journal, great. If you have already set up your journal and you're just here to interact with the chat and have fun with the community and maybe get some new ideas for next time, awesome. If you want to do a little of both or neither, we're just glad that you're here with us and we want you to take whatever you need from this time together that we have. So today we're going to be completing an opening activity around our new theme. We'll be completing our June reflections, our July intentions, and then setting up our mood and habit trackers. So new month, new theme. Hello, welcome curiosity. I love this theme. I think that if you have done any social with me before, you've probably heard me say, I want you to really get curious or, really ask yourself X, Y, and Z. I think that curiosity is really the gateway to self-discovery. And we a lot of the times we don't encourage ourselves to interact with it as much as we do in adulthood. I think as children, we're really encouraged to be very curious and ask questions and kind of seek those things, right? But then when we get into adulthood, we see a lot more things modeled to us of what things should be or how they should look or how we should feel, right? That dirty S word, should. But when we're kids, we're really encouraged to be curious. And we've got a couple of like curious characters up on the screen. And I think it's a good example that curiosity can look really different between each of us. What curiosity may look like for me may look different for you, and that's okay. It's just about taking the time to really sit and be mindful and give yourself that pause to ask certain questions. If you haven't read Meha's letter on page 2, it's always a great place to start with our new theme, to call out a couple of things she shares, that there's diversity in thought and perspective. Curiosity is like a secret garden we hold within ourselves. It is the cure for boredom. She talks about how she couldn't say the B word when she was growing up in her household, and the B word was boredom, right? She had those parents that were like, don't ever say you're bored. What are you talking about? How could you possibly be bored? And she thinks that that kind of encouraged her to be more curious as a kid. And it leads to discovery, opens doors, and amplifies our life. So there's some really great quotes up on the screen about curiosity. Two of them are from Albert Einstein. It seems like he was really a champion of curiosity because if you go and look for curiosity quotes, you're going to find a ton that are from him, which is really interesting, I thought. But for me, I think that this is such a huge invitation to build upon everything that we try to do here with our journals in Silk and Sonder. You know, our journals are really built around self discovery and reflection and trying to figure out how to best, kind of shape our lives in a way that works for us, whether that is goal setting and goal chasing, or if it's more centered around like self discovery and growth. All of those things really start with getting curious and asking ourselves things like, well, what do you need to make this happen? And when I was looking up quotes, I found this little blue blurb there in the center, and it was curiosity questions to ask kids. So instead of like telling kids what they should do or how they should solve a problem or kind of like finishing things for them or assuming things, it's phrasing things in a way that makes them kind of pause and reflect and think what they should do about it, right? So they've got, well, what do you need to be ready for school on time? And oops, what do you need to do about the spilled milk? Instead of saying, hey, you need to clean that up, or you need to get your backpack and your shoes and all of this together, right? And I thought that this was kind of a cool thing to bring in because what it made me think about is when I get ready to try to set a new goal, or if there's something that I'm struggling with that I'm trying to get better at, right? Like I will tell you, like, I think I have said it in other socials before, my morning routine is not a routine. It does not exist. It looks like me flying out the door as quick as I possibly can and trying and hoping that I've got everything with me, right? So, as far as this, what do you need to be ready for school on time? For me, it's what do you need to be ready for work on time and not be flying out of here last minute and to start your day more calmly. So, whether it is about starting your day or setting a new goal, or if it's something that you're like, man, I'm really struggling with this and I want to get better at it, what we really have to do is pause and be really loving and open and accepting of ourselves, being gentle, being gracious, right? Meeting ourselves where we are and saying, like, hey, I know you're struggling with this. It's okay. I know you have this goal and it feels really big. Like, it's okay, right? Like, you are your own best friend. You are your own champion. You've got you forever and ever, right? So you're kind of checking in with yourself and saying, okay, why is this hard? What is the barrier to entry? What can we do to make this easier? Why are you struggling with this? Why are you getting stuck here? Kind of reframing those questions and reteaching ourselves to get curious and not snap decision answering those questions with, well, it's probably because, I should probably make a morning routine. That's what I should do. That's what everybody else does. Well, is that actually what the answer is for you? Maybe the answer for you is that you need a nighttime routine because you know you're not a morning person and morning is just not going to be a good time for routine for you. But can you build a nighttime routine that's going to make that morning time easier, right? We are really quick to tell ourselves what we need to do about a situation a lot of the times, and those answers come from other people. They're coming from what we've heard or what we've seen or what we grew up with, right? And so this theme is a huge invitation for us to just ask us, to ask you, to spend time with you and say, if you knew nothing about this thing that you want to do, what's the first thing that you feel like would help? How do you make that happen? I don't care about how somebody else did it or how so and so got there or what somebody told you to do. Where does your mind go when I say, what's the first thing that can make this easier? Right? So putting yourself first, spending time with you, checking in with you. That's really what this theme is about. And the applications are limitless. So it is a really exciting theme. And I'm really looking forward to learning more about it together this month. So let's go ahead and welcome our new theme with this opening activity of our acrostic poem. This has kind of become our new sort of way to welcome in the theme. And it's really nice because I feel like you all are getting really good at this. So it's really cool to see all the different ways these poems happen. And this month, we actually have an acrostic page in our journals on page 19. So you can actually just flip over to page 19 and do it right there. We don't have to use a different piece of paper or a scratch pad. They've got it right there in their journal with us. It just kind of worked out that way this month. So on page 19, and if you don't have your journal yet, if you're still waiting on it, it's okay. You can do this on a scratch piece of paper and transfer it over later. No worries. And that goes for everything that we go over tonight. If you're still waiting on your journal, it's okay. I promise it will be okay. But if you do have your journal on page 19, we've got this word curiosity written out. And we're going to come up with a poem by thinking of words or a set of words that start with that first letter that we have there. Or you can get really creative and kind of like shift things, like maybe your letter is in the middle of the word, right? There's a lot of different ways that you can tackle this. So for some examples here, I always like the little one word poems. I usually will do like a one-word poem acrostic, and then I'll get like a little bit more fun with it and add more, words and more of a challenge. But the one-word acrostic poems always like surprise me because they feel really random at first, and then somehow they kind of seem to have some sort of little magic hidden message. So this one says, "Clever unveils realms in ongoing search in the yonder." Feels very like broad and mystical to me. And then we've got another fun little Albert Einstein quote there. And then here are some examples from Sonder Club. So you've got another sort of one-word example there on the right. And then on the left, what it looks like to actually build that out into a little bit more of a poem. And then some more examples here. And then mine is here on the right, actually, where I decided to get a little bit more challenging. So I'll flip through all of these examples, and then I will put on some music for you to think about your acrostic poems. Definitely share with us in the chat how your poem is turning out. I always love seeing these. And the best thing to do with these is just to try, just to write something down, right? Like there's no journal police. There's nobody that's going to come grade your poem. And if you're feeling intimidated by this, of course, you can come back to it later. You don't have to do this right now. But if you feel like you want to give it a try, I definitely encourage you to do that because you might surprise yourself. So I'll put on a little music and then we'll move on to our next activity together. Thank you all for taking a few moments to give this a shot. If you're still working on it, if you're stuck on a word or two, don't worry about it. It might come to you as we're going through, and you may end up with some extra time in a different section. But for now, we are now going to start on our main event, which is the setup of our monthly planner. I love getting set up for the month. It's one of the things that really drew me to the journal time and time again when I was just getting started, which has been over 4 years ago now that I have been getting these journals. It is mind blowing to me that that much time has passed. But they just work for me. It is what it is, right? You got to keep doing it. If it's not broke, don't fix it. So here I am. But we're going to start on page 8 and reflecting back on June and what that month taught or brought us before we welcome in July. Thinking about what our wins, challenges, and favorite moments were, and considering what we might want to start, stop, and continue as we move into July. Now, I swear I'm like Dory sometimes from Finding Nemo, that little blue fish, like, oh, hello, squirrel. Oh, what did I eat for breakfast today? I don't know. So for me, it really helps if I like pull up my phone and go back through my calendar and kind of look and see, well, what did I do this month and what happened, and kind of look through photos. And also looking back through my journals even, I realized when I was doing this setup that I had done my reflections, and it wasn't until I got to a different page in my journal that I remembered that I was sick at the beginning of this month, and I had completely forgotten that. So definitely don't be afraid to go back through and take your time. I think that this is one of the best parts and kind of like rituals and practices that we have with the journal, is like really thinking about this month and what all it brought us before we moved into that next month ahead. So you can see my reflections up on the screen there, along with some tips and tricks, and explanations of the different sections. And then I also have some little stop, start, and continue examples here from Sonder Club. This one here is really cool for the start, stop, and continue. They've actually said like what it is, why they want to do it or stop doing it, and then how they plan to do that. And then this is actually my old June reflection from last year. So I thought that was kind of fun as well. So I'll give you all a few moments to reflect back on June. Definitely share with us in the chat what those favorite moments were and challenges as well. You know, part of the wonderful thing about this community is that we're here to support each other and celebrate when it's time to celebrate, but also be there for one another when things are not so great, because that's life, right? We all have those challenges and things. So I'll put on some music and then we'll move into our next section together. Okay. Thank you for spending some time with June before we move into July. We are now going to flip over to page 9 and think about our July intentions. Now, there are some categories that are pre-printed there in your journal. There's spiritual health, personal life, physical health, key relationships, money management, and professional goals. But if one of those categories doesn't speak to you, you can change it. And if you don't need all of those categories, you can just leave a couple of them blank. Put some fun stickers there, fill in the space with something else. You don't have to fill in every box just because it's there. You don't have to stick with a particular category just because that's what it says. It's really important that when you are spending time with your journal and getting curious with yourself, that you're not afraid to make changes when something doesn't make sense for you or it doesn't fit your life. The way that you're going to get the most out of this journal is if you can personalize it to you. So here are some ideas of how you might like to tackle this, but again, they're just ideas. So you can use the theme of curiosity to set your intentions. You can focus on one area, such as self-love or self-talk. You could use the name of a song or lyrics or quotes, something like that in each area. You can kind of check in with yourself and ask, how do you want to feel for this month for each of these things? Feel free to use stickers, colors, images, pictures. You can also decide something you want to let go of and something you want to start doing in these different categories. So here are some examples of different categories you might like to try instead of what is there in the journal. So if there is something that doesn't fit, but you're not quite sure what to change it to, and you do want to change it, there's some ideas there. I know a lot of folks will change spiritual health over to mental health. Connection is another good one for that area. Also, professional goals. We have some folks that change that to learning goals, creative goals. Maybe you want to do curious goals or curiosity for one of these categories, right? And then the wonderful Maya, another one of our facilitators, she always includes these really cool like national like month topics for us here. So it's actually National Anti-Boredom Month, which is very fitting, right? Because in the opening letter, Meha talks about how curiosity is the cure for boredom. So it kind of works out perfect. It's also National Hot Dog Month, which I'm very excited about. Because I had a food aversion to hot dogs for a very, very, very long time that I just got past about this time last year. So I'm actually looking forward to having a hot dog on the 4th of July this year. So that's kind of a fun thing to think about. And then here are some examples where folks had decided to use stickers or different pictures. You could go with a particular theme or just what speaks to you in these different areas. Don't be afraid to get creative if that is what works for you. Likewise, you can use different quotes, like we said at the beginning, or do song lyrics. Again, whatever is going to help ground you. And the top of your page here says something that I think is really important. It says setting intentions is not making a to-do list. It's asking something of yourself and then giving yourself the strength to do it. So this shouldn't necessarily feel like another to-do. It's okay for them to be goals, absolutely. But especially with this month's theme of curiosity, I really encourage you to try to make this space feel like you asking yourself what you want out of each one of these areas, and then tying that to something that pulls you back to whatever that intention is, right? You can go with single words or colors. I like this example here. We've got a something they want to do and something they want to let go of. And then the person here on the right decided to start with the feel, how they want to feel, and then how they want to do that by working on something, and then habits that are going to support that thing. On the left is another example of somebody that changed up all of the categories. And then to share some ideas that came from chats previously, I know Dinah had shared that they start the categories with I feel and then think of 3 ways to achieve that goal. So kind of like this example here. And then Georgie said that they like to use the theme when setting their intentions. So for this month, that might be starting each area with I will be curious by, or I will be curious about by, right? Whatever works for you. And then on the left is one of my old ones, and you can see I decided to kind of switch it up halfway through. I just picked a single phrase. And then for the bottom two, I was like, no, you know what? I got stickers that work for this. I'm going to use my stickers. So I threw those in there. And my July intentions for this month are on the right. So I've just kind of set an overall intention statement for myself and then threw in some fun stickers there. So I will go through all of these examples while you're working on your intentions. Definitely share with us in the chat how you're tackling this area, and then we'll move on to our next section together. All right. Hopefully, you settled on some intentions. If you're still deciding on a few, that's okay. And yes, Catherine, I completely agree. We should absolutely all have a Silk and Sonner meetup at Katie's because Katie is living in the coolest place. So I would definitely be down for that. Put that in the survey, right? We can hope. We are now going to head over to our mood and habit trackers, starting with our mood tracker on page 10. So again, I mentioned at the beginning, I loved getting set up for the month. I still do, but especially when I was first starting. And one of the things that really helped me was these trackers. They taught me a lot about myself, and they were some great pages to really dig deeper and get curious. So definitely want to spend some time getting these ready this month. So the mood tracker, if you use it as a mood tracker, we'll talk more about that in a minute. It helps you understand trends and how we're feeling so that you can notice and hopefully begin making shifts, right? Getting curious about what maybe is influencing our mood. And then maybe we can bring in tools to see if we can bring about more positive moods. Is there anything we can do to kind of limit some of that more, the things you don't want to necessarily feel all the time? So we do have two versions of the mood tracker. We've got the hexagons, and then we've got like the circles or the square rectangles, however you want to call them. So this month we are back to the circles slash rectangles, and then I think next month we'll be back to the hexagons. If not, it might not be the next one. I think it's like the odd months we get circles, and the even months we get hexagons or something like that. So for me, I know some people are team hexagon and some people are team circle or team wheel. For me, I just want a space. I wouldn't mind like actual squares sometimes, totally change it up. So when you are setting this up, if you are setting it up as a mood tracker, you could decide to choose 2 to 3 negative feelings, one neutral, and 2 to 3 positive feelings. But I do want to point out that no feeling or emotion is actually like positive or negative. What they just mean by that is, we would like to maybe have more happy days than sad days, right? If it's possible. But sometimes we need to be sad, and that's okay. We need to feel our feelings. They all have a purpose and are very important. So you can focus in on that curiosity theme for the month. Think about maybe certain areas of your moods or emotions that you want to dig and get curious with. You can fill in every emotion that came up that day, or just whatever emotion was the strongest, or you can set a particular time of the day you want to track and start tracking what your emotion or mood is during that time. And then to fill it in, you can use stickers, colored pens, doodles, whatever kind of works for you. And then to go ahead and share some stuff from the Sonder fan. So Katura shared that at the end of the month, they like to count up each feeling and then write the number of times they felt that way. Very good data collection and verification there. And then Katie had shared that they treat this like the movie Inside Out, where their bubbles get complex and have different shades through the day. And I think we may have Katie's example in here. So this is our feelings wheel, and I'll come back to that in a moment, but this is a good place if you are going to set this up as a mood tracker to maybe identify some different emotions and get more specific about how you want to track things. But it's also fine to just lean into these main categories, right? Of fear, anger, sadness, surprise, joy, and love. Whatever is going to work for you. Also, don't be afraid to use things like meh, okay, blah. Those are feelings and those are valid. Here are some fun examples. You can see that these folks decided to kind of fill in multiple emotions and things. The one on the left I really liked because they kind of noticed that they were having a really anxious day here on the 30th and they were feeling some kind of way about it. And as somebody that struggles with anxiety, I get that. When you have a rough day with anxiety, you start to feel like this is my new reality. If you've struggled with it before, you're like, oh my gosh, it's happening again. But this person was actually able to look through and see very clearly, like, oh, actually, for the majority of the month, I've been pretty good, right? It's just today. It's just a today thing. So I think that's helpful with grounding. And then likewise, this person tried to notate if they had a particular happy day, if there was something that contributed to that happiness, and likewise, if they had a tough day, if they thought there was something that contributed to that. And then I think this might have been Katie's example. I can't remember for sure, but it sure does look like it. So this person decided to kind of fill in these bigger and larger bubbles depending on how dominant the feeling was. And that allowed them to kind of like check in multiple times a day because they can start with like a small little bubble, right? And then it can get bigger as the day goes on if they feel like that emotion is getting larger or starting to be more prominent. And then we have some more examples here of different emotions and moods that you can track. But this does get repurposed a lot. And the reason is because it's a really great space. It's a really great setup to get curious about a lot of different things. So, tracking a mood can be really helpful, but that doesn't mean that there aren't other things that could be helpful as well. So, some people change this up completely and use it as a tracker to do daily affirmations or books or running or workout. And you'll see some examples like that as we move through. So folks use it to track anxiety. I used it to track my anxiety levels for a couple of years, and it was incredibly beneficial for me, especially when I combined it with the habit tracker to kind of figure out what was helping and what wasn't. You could use it to track depression or something else you might be struggling with, energy levels, or you could pick, one particular feeling or mood or thing and track on a scale of 1 to 6 of how intense or less intense that is. So here's an example of how to track anxiety. This is one of my old trackers. So I just did different faces for the different kind of levels of anxiety. And I used none, scattered, low, moderate, high, and panic for when I actually had a panic attack. And then somebody in Sonder Club repurposed this to a stress tracker. I think it might have been Kimberly L. And they were not only tracking level of stress, but also physical sensations and if there was something coming up. And as somebody that has been doing therapy for several years now, I can tell you that mind body connection is hugely important. So I thought that was really cool that she was digging in and doing that. Last month, I decided to do something totally different with my tracker. One of my habits was centered around replenishment, and I came up with 6 activities that I considered to be ways that I could kind of replenish myself and kind of do a reset, like meditation, time outside, reading, no social media, listening to a podcast, and playing games. And so I used this to track the type of replenishment I was getting in each one of these days. And it was really fun and I enjoyed it. But the thing that I'm really struggling with right now is my physical self-care. So I'm going to try to challenge myself this month to track the physical care things and see how it goes. I'm not going to lie, I'm a little nervous about it because I have been lacking on my physical care, but can't get better if I don't hold myself accountable. So I'm going to try to do that. And one of the things I'm doing is trying to check in with myself more and like Kimberly building that mind body connection and how tired am I? Am I having physical sensations? Is there anything of note that I need to think about with that? I also have been beta testing the new um, Sonder coach, like personalized coaching thing. I don't know if you all saw Mayha's post about that in Sonder Club, but that has been really, really cool. And it's been giving me some other ideas and like really unique prompts and ways to like check in with myself. So I'm looking forward to leaning into that a bit more this month as well. Here's an example of somebody that set this up as a no spin tracker. I love this idea. I think it's really cool. And then there's a workout tracker, a self-care tracker, and then you could just do this rate the day, right? You could just give yourself a rating between 1 to 6 of how you felt like your day went. And if you need something broad, and like getting really specific feels icky and hard right now, I think just rating the day could be a great option because it still gives you like a data set that you could correlate to other things in your journal without having to get too detailed. So that's another really good idea. And then we have a book tracker here and then a mood boost tracker. So that's a lot of examples, a lot of ideas. Definitely use what works for you. If you're not sure what would work best, maybe ask in the chat what people have done. If you're looking to track a certain thing and aren't sure how to track it, definitely bring that up in the chat as well. And I'm sure folks will have some ideas. So I'll put on some music and then we'll get started on these trackers. All right. I always love the monthly social because we get like an extra 15 minutes together. I kind of wish that every social was a little bit longer, and I'm sure I'll still feel the same way about this one, even with our extra time. So we are now going to flip over to our habit tracker on page 11. So completing our habit tracker can help us start new habits, stop doing habits that don't serve us, and continue habits that bring value. And I think it's really important to remember that this is not a habit to-do list. This is a habit tracker, right? In this slide right here, it says stop doing habits that don't serve us. Sometimes what happens with our habit tracker is we set a habit and then it doesn't go well. And we bring it over to the next month and it still doesn't go well. And if that's happening, it's probably time to check in with yourself and say, why is this on my habit wheel? Why am I struggling with it? Is it actually important to me? Is it something that I actually want or need to do? If it is, can I start smaller? If it isn't, is it just on here because it's something I think I should do? Then maybe it's time to get rid of it. And in that same mindset, you do not have to fill in every line that is there on that page. You can just do a few, or if you need more, you can add more as well. Um, you can, of course, continue to lean into curiosity as your focus. Pick a particular theme like staying grounded, calm, joy, delight. If you decided to set up your intentions with how you want to feel, maybe you can connect this over to that as well. Um, you can continue habits from last month if they're working for you. That's what I'll be doing this month. And do try to find a balance between habits you know you can do and ones that are going to be trickier to commit to. If you fill up your plate with a bunch of hard things, and if you tackle them all, that's amazing. That's like, wow. But for most of us, that would be really difficult. And then that's going to feel icky and not so good. And it's going to make us lose momentum. So like on my tracker, you'll see I have taking my medications. That's something I have to do every day. It's going to get done. And some days it's the only habit that I get done, but it makes me feel really good to be able to put that little sticker on there that it's done. So think about that when you are setting yours up. Here are some different examples. I love this like color gradient that somebody did. That's really cool that they just decided to like use a different color every day and kind of build out their rainbow. Really pretty. You can see there at the end too, they said, eek, COVID got me. I think it is important to give ourselves grace when life comes in and gives us something that we didn't choose to take on. And to also notate that, right? Because being sick has an impact. Having a major change in life or something you didn't plan has an impact. And that is okay if you don't get to your habits during that time, if you need to take a break. I know that we have some folks in our community that set aside specific days during the week, like their weekends, where they don't track habits at all because that's what works for them is to just completely disengage from it during that time. And then this little example with the bees is really cute too. Here is another example. And again, you can see like with this color example here, like I was talking about, there's lots of little empty spaces here. That doesn't mean that this person had a bad month or did a bad job. They did a great job because they tracked every single day. And what's important is getting that information in front of you so that you can start making decisions about what's actually working for you. There's also somebody that decided to track how well they did this particular habit each day. So instead of did I get my water in? Yes or no. They said, how well did I drink my water? Did it not go so well here, like on these one days, or did it go really well here where I've given myself a 4? So that's another strategy you could use here. These are my trackers from last month and this month. So I'm carrying over the exact same habits, and you can see that I only have 5 selected. And of those 5, 3 of them have options. So this is kind of what I was talking about before with I'm trying to focus on physical care with that physical care tracker. And these are the different things that will all count towards that in my mind. I've also given myself different things that will count towards replenishment. It really helps me to have flexibility like that, but I do have to write it out because if I don't halfway through the month, I can't remember, did I count that as replenishment or did I just think about it? Does that count? I can't remember. So if you are going to give yourself flexibility, maybe give yourself a little legend or a little note so that you don't forget what your intention was there. And then I also really loved this celebration tracker. Somebody changed this over to a celebration tracker, and they said that they're going to celebrate their body when they go to the gym, work out at home, mindful moment, gentle stretches, nature walk, playful exercise, and guilt-free rest. So clearly, this tracker is kind of geared towards physical health, but I love the way that they have framed this in a different way and have also built in rest and guilt-free rest specifically because it's important for all of us to remember that rest is an action and it's something we all need. Likewise, somebody turned it into a junk food tracker. So if you want to focus in on one specific thing, go for it. Again, do whatever works for you. And there's a lot of ideas here from the Sonder fam as well. People that are tracking the same habits for months or even years because that consistency works for them. Georgie, I believe this is yours here, where you said you always set 3 daily goals and 2 bonus goals that they don't stress if they don't check them off. And then Stephanie is one of our folks that blocks off the weekends. And Sharon had said they always find themselves going, did I take that vitamin today? Or am I remembering yesterday when I took it? So they added it into the tracker. Use this to help you, right? Whatever this can do to make your life easier, whether that is making sure that you take your medication or giving you something, a visual that shows you, am I actually doing this thing? Is it actually helping me? Is it doing what I thought it would do for me when I compare it to my mood tracker or when I compare it to how I'm feeling at the end of each week when I'm doing my rosebud and thorn, right? Use this to really get curious, right? And then you can tie this into different areas of the journal as well. So when you're setting this up, we do have a space in the journal for you to do your weekly habities, if you will. So a lot of the times people will say, is it a monthly habit? Is it a weekly habit? What do I do? And we typically say that, your monthly habits on this page, you want it to be something you want to try to do every day. But again, this journal is for you. So if you need something with flexibility that's once a week, or maybe one of your daily habits is to do a weekly habit. And then that way you can switch it up each and every week if that's what you need to do. Or maybe you want to tie it into your mind body health plan, right? You can actually make your habits different sections within the journal. Maybe one of your habits is to check back with your intentions so that you can make sure you're staying on track with what you wanted to this month. So I'll put on some music and go through all of these examples. Let us know how you're setting up your habit tracker, and then we'll close out our time together. Okay, that's it. You all should be nice and set up for July. Are you ready for this month ahead? I know I am super ready. I'm super excited about this theme. It's such a good theme. If you haven't already, we would love to see your pages in Sonder Club if you'd like to share them on the app. You saw all the fun examples we had tonight. Almost all of those came from Sonder Club. So we would love to see those and see how you set up your pages if you feel comfortable sharing. We are still doing the refer a friend program. So you get $10 off, they get $10 off, and then you can come to socials together. If you're able to upgrade to an annual subscription, it can certainly save you some money. Just keep in mind, you do have to pay for that annual subscription upfront, but if you can do it, definitely can save you some cash in the long run. Please fill out our feedback survey. Katie will post the link in the chat, and then you'll also get an email if that's easier for you within 24 hours of this asking you to complete it. Let us know what you liked, what you didn't like, if there's anything we can do differently, if you have any ideas about what will work better for you with socials, with timing or different things we could do, definitely put that in there. HQ does look at all of that feedback. And then Katie will also share the YouTube link in the chat where this social will be recorded and uploaded in a couple of business days, along with most of our other socials. There's almost 800 on there now. So you can always go back and watch an old one if you'd like to. And then all of the stickers that I used in my setup are from the July Matchy Stickers pack. I think I can say I'm a sticker girly. I was not until a couple of months ago, and I was like really trying to figure out how to use stickers because I wasn't really a sticker girly before, but I really like the way that they feel, and like I don't know, it just makes everything more clean, which makes my little brain happy. And so I think I am a sticker girly now. And then there's also the sticker set, which is a booklet of like 2,000 stickers, and I have that one as well. That one was really cool for getting started with stickers too, because it just gave me a lot of variety. But I really like the matching sticker packs that come. They have officially launched the Elevate Planner. It's a great way to get curious with yourself, lots of introspective prompts and things in there, so check that out. And then I will share my playlist in the chat. All of my playlists should be searchable on Spotify, including my master playlist. After a while, I start to get too many playlists and I start to get overwhelmed. And so if and when that happens, I will dump them all into the master list. But it was our sincere pleasure getting you set up for the month tonight. We hope that you all had a great time and that you're feeling ready for July. And until next time, we'll see you all in Sonder Club.